Good morning, folks. This is your hillbilly historian coming to you from the hills of East Tennessee, part of the Appalachian Mountains. This morning I want to talk about a guy who's a real interesting character by the name of Asa, A-S-A, Earl, E-A-R-L, Carter, C-A-R-T-E-R. Asa Earl Carter. He was born in southern Alabama around 1920s in there, 25 or so. He was a segregationist. He grew up in that segregation period. He was a member of the KKK, which a lot of people were. Remember Robert Byrd from West Virginia, Grand Kleagle of the KKK. The media honored him. He was a great man because he was a Democrat. Well, Asa was a Democrat too. He was a speechwriter for Governor George Wallace in Alabama. And George Wallace did not want the world to know that Asa worked for him. So Asa was paid under the table. He was never a recorded employee. He was paid under the table. In fact, Asa wrote the speech that was one of George Wallace's most famous. Segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. That was Asa Carter that wrote that. Asa also got involved. There's a little town in East Tennessee called Clinton, and Clinton was going to integrate their schools back in the 1950s. They were ahead of their time. They were going to integrate. And there was like a group of 9 or 11 kids they were going to integrate into Clinton High School. And I went to college with two of these boys, Boulware boys, Boulware. Fine young men. In fact, the oldest majored in math at Berea and taught mathematics in the Anderson County school system there in Tennessee. It's part of Clinton, or Clinton is in Anderson County. He taught mathematics there for 35, 40 years till he finally passed away. Great mathematical mind, great math teacher. And his younger brother, Larry, went to medical school, became a doctor. He, last I heard, he was a doctor at Grady Hospital in downtown Atlanta. That was one of the big metro hospitals there in Atlanta. One of the city hospital, and he was a doctor there. So these were two really bright young men. Plus, they were very athletic. And the people in Clinton, they wanted these two boys on their football and basketball teams because they were very, very good athletes as well as intellectual. And there's a correlation between intellect and athletic skill. The two go together. The Clinton people wanted them. But outsiders like Asa Earl Carter, didn't want integration anywhere. So he came to Clinton, started preaching to the ignorant. He looked up a bunch of hillbilly ignorant fools and started preaching to them about how bad it would be to have blacks in the school with the whites, and preached against integration. And got some people riled up, and they had the Clinton riots. And these Clinton riots were nationally televised. there was news all over the country about the Clinton riots. And Asa helped stir all that up. But Asa was smart. When law enforcement came in there to put a stop to these riots, Asa got the hell out of Dodge. He left Clinton, went back to Alabama. They captured a couple of communist agitators who were in there trying to stir up these riots and make them worse, trying to undermine democracy and humanity. And these communists were charged, tried, convicted, sentenced. They ended up over in Brushy Mountain, Tennessee's Alcatraz, and the hills of where it's really isolated. James Earl Ray, who shot and killed Martin Luther King, ended up in Brushy Mountain for life. And he escaped one time. Couldn't find his way out of the woods. he finally gave himself up. Please take me back to the pen where I can have a cot and 3 hots a day. Please take me back. I tell you what, you take country boy to the city and they survive. And a lot did. A lot of Kentuckians, Tennesseans went to the cities like Cincinnati, the industrial complex there in Cincinnati, and went to work. They had an apartment complex there in Cincinnati called Little Kentucky, where these country people went there to work and make a living. I have relatives in Scott County that went to Cincinnati and worked. And a lot of them went to Detroit, went to work in the auto industry, and did real well. It's amazing. Take country boy to the city and he'll do well. You take a city boy to the country, his ass will starve. He don't know how to survive out there in the woods. He has no survival skills. Country boys have them. James Earl Ray was a city boy. He couldn't survive out there in the woods. He was cold and hungry. Please take me back. I'll be good. But Asa Carter got out of Clinton before the law got there. We did get a couple of them communists in prison for a long time. I'm sure they were taken care of there by the inmates. Most inmates are criminals, not communists. They don't like communists either. But anyway, old Asa, he finally gave up on his segregation. He saw it was a losing cause. So he moved to Texas, changed his name to Forrest Carter, Forrest, Forrest Carter, and began to write westerns. He wrote the real famous book and movie. Clint Eastwood made it into a movie. Forrest Carter wrote The Outlaw Josey Wales. And it made a really successful movie. And he also wrote a book that was very successful called The Education of a Little Tree. It was about a Cherokee orphan being raised by his grandparents. His grandfather, who was a moonshiner. They lived in the hills of North Carolina, western North Carolina. And this book became a darling of the left-wing education establishment. They just thought this book was just absolutely wonderful. It was a little piece of shit about this Cherokee orphan boy. Cute little story, but it was a piece of garbage. And it elevated Cherokee culture above Western white culture. That's why the left-wingers in the education establishment required the reading of this book, because it was their purpose, a bunch of Marxists, to destroy Western culture and to demean it and downgrade it and make everything else look better. And this book was to show that Cherokee culture was superior to Western white culture. Well, I got news for you. Cherokees never invented penicillin. They never invented aspirin. They never invented Tylenol, Advil, Oxycontin, or any of the pain medications. They never invented the internal combustion engine that prevents you from having to shovel horse manure all day. Uh, and they never invented the things that advance mankind. Uh, they have a nice little reservation over there in Cherokee, North Carolina. They let a casino come in there and build a big casino, which was culturally detrimental to the surrounding towns and communities and families. Uh, so Cherokee culture is not superior to Western white culture, but Forrest Carter wrote this book demeaning white culture, trying to show how evil it was, especially toward Cherokee or Indian native children. And uh, I'm not denying that there were evils out there, but it was not exhibitive of the true Western white culture, uh, not indicative of the true Western Christian culture. Uh, but Forrest Carter wrote this little book about this little child and his dogs and his granny and grandpa. And his grandpa was a moonshiner, and all his dogs passed away. His grandparents passed away. Uh, but it was a juicy little story that the leftist Marxist educational establishment in our universities required reading because it demeaned white Western culture and tried to elevate this mountain uh, culture, law-breaking culture above white uh, Western Judeo-Christian culture. And that's why the educational establishment made this book required reading, because they want to demean the white man and his culture. That's what the Marxists want to do, create total chaos. But anyway, Asa Earl Carter. Now, what's interesting is these fools in these education departments did not know Forrest Carter was the previous Asa Earl Carter. So they promoted this book, and then when it was divulged in 1979 that Forrest Carter is one and the same with Asa Earl Carter, the segregationist. And that just blew their minds. But they kept their mouths shut and lowered their heads, hid under their beds, and never admitted they blew it with their incredible stupidity. Because Marxism and socialism is essentially stupidity. The free marketplace allows the mind to expand and to invent and to create and to come up with things that improve man's place on this little rock flying through this unity, this space. But anyway, that's my story about Asa Earl Carter, the segregationist, and Forrest Carter, the novelist. Two distinctly different people who were one and the same, actually. But anyway, this is your hillbilly historian bringing to you the facts and truths that you won't find in your high school or college history books. So I'm signing off here in the hills of East Tennessee in Appalachia. Good day.